Lesson on 10 important phrasal verbs. The vast majority of phrasal verbs consist of two words, the first being a short verb and the second being a preposition, like stand up. A few phrasal verbs use two prepositions, so they are 3 words long. For example, put up with, which means to tolerate, or make up for, which means to redeem oneself for a past wrong. Or another one would be catch up on, means to review something. Most phrasal verbs that take an object can be divided by that object. For example, pick up the can. So you could put can right in the middle and say, pick the can up. Naturally, phrasal verbs that do not take objects cannot be separated. For example, act like is intransitive. It cannot take an object. You can say he acts like a clown, but a clown is not an object. It's a subject complement. So you could not say he acts a clown like. That would make no sense at all. So all intransitive phrasal verbs cannot be separated. If the object of a phrasal verb is replaced by a pronoun, the pronoun almost always divides the phrasal verb. For example, please pick it up. Pick it up. So the pronoun goes in the middle of the phrasal verb. You could not say, please pick up it. That would not make any sense. However, there is one exception to this rule that I know of. The exception is come across. This particular phrasal verb is always non-separable, even if the object is a pronoun. I came across it, found it, lying in the street. So I came across it. Or I came across the watch, or whatever it is. Came across is never divided. The first phrasal verb that I would like to teach you is abide by. Abide by cannot be separated. You cannot put anything between the abide and the by. And this means to follow the rules or follow some doctrine. We should always abide by the rules of the company. Abide by. Next I have is account for. This also cannot be separated. You cannot put any words between account and for. This means to give an explanation or reason for doing something. I hope you can account for the time you were absent from work. The next one is add up. Naturally, add up can be taken literally, like please add up the numbers. 5 plus 5 is 10. But a more interesting usage of add up is to mean if something makes sense or not. Yes, the information sounds right, it all adds up, but we usually use this expression in the negative when something doesn't add up. For example, the suspect's alibi doesn't add up. He couldn't have been on vacation at the time of the crime. The facts just don't add up. Of course, there are a great many very common phrasal verbs, things like stand up and sit down and all of that. I'm just trying to focus on a few phrasal verbs that you might not be familiar with. So this next one I thought that you might find interesting is bank on. This also cannot be separated, and this means to base your expectations on something. The boss is banking on me to do a good job. Or, the teacher told William, I'm banking on you to pass the exam. Some people might say, oh, you can bank on me if you want them to feel they can depend on you. Or conversely, you might say, oh, you better not bank on me. Here's one that you might not know, beg off. It is intransitive, so it does not have an object and cannot be separated. This means to ask to be excused from doing something. It generally means you're trying to get out of an invitation. Jennifer said she would come to the company party, but later she begged off. So she probably made some kind of an excuse, like saying, "Oh, I would really like to come, but I'm sorry, something came up and I have to beg off." This is a useful phrasal verb. Of course, we know that blow up can mean to literally blow something up, like blow up a balloon or the bomb blew up, something like that. But it can also mean to quickly become very angry. When I told my father I damaged his car, he blew up at me. So this is very useful. You might say, "Why did you blow up?" Next I have brush up on. This cannot be separated. This means to review or study thoroughly for a short period of time. Generally it means you've learned it in the past, but you've forgotten a lot about it, so you need to review it and get yourself back up to speed. So if you're going to teach that course, you'd better brush up on your math. So it's to relearn something. You can probably use this next one, butter up. Of course, we're not talking about putting real butter on it like a piece of bread. Of course, you could be, but in this case, we're talking about to compliment someone to gain an advantage. If you want a raise from Mr. Johnson, you better butter him up first. So it's to compliment someone to get what you want from that person. Chew out. Now this one can be separated. You can chew someone out. This means to scold someone severely or to berate someone. The teacher chewed out the student for not doing his homework. For example, Miss McDonald chewed Jimmy out. The drill sergeant chewed me out for failing the inspection. This is a very important one if you don't already know it. Chip in. This cannot be separated. This means to contribute or donate, usually money, to something done by a group. It's the boss's birthday. Everybody needs to chip in so we can get him a nice gift. Something like that. So you can really use this. I think everybody should chip in for a gift for, our boss, or for the worker who got sick and is in the hospital, something like that. Chip in. Well, those are the 10 phrasal verbs that I have for you today. I'm going to be doing more in the future. So do me a favor and write your favorite phrasal verb that you learned today in the comment section below. And see you next time.